Spring could be far away. It is upon us just about. So we're really excited to have you. I wanted to just kind of introduce a few of our staff that are on here. So if your cameras are on, you can wave. Otherwise, you can just know that these staff members are on here and we're really ready to support in any way throughout this call. And then of course, throughout the entire season. So first I just saw Corey Chandler. He jumped on, our competitions manager. You got to hear from, or you'll hear a little bit more from Adrian Mora, who's our Senior Director of Regional Services. There's Adrian up there. On his team, we also have Michelle Peters, who's our Western Regional Manager, Elizabeth Aslin, who's our Northeast Regional Manager, and brand new to our team, we have Corey Panatti, who hasn't even started yet for SoCo as our Southeast Regional Manager, but is an overachiever and has joined this call. So we're really excited to have you, Corey, and everybody within the Southeast and across the state will have opportunities to of course, get to know Corey much better.
And Meg, sorry to interrupt, but Corey, if we could give Corey a chance to introduce himself and share a little bit about himself, I think that'd be great.
Go for it. You want to do it now?
Yeah.
Sure. Let's knock this out. Well, hello, everybody. I do appreciate you guys letting me jump on before I do start next week. So, all questions are going to Adrian before me. So I'm going to step back, after this is done. But I just want to introduce myself. Once again, my name is Corey. I'm really excited to join the team. My wife and I just moved to Colorado in October from Philadelphia area, South Jersey. So go Sixers. I am so excited to be a part of Special Olympics. I've coached probably for 6 years, all 4 sports in Jersey that we have. I know there's so much more that I have to learn. And so I just can't wait to dive in and, answer all your questions and help and concerns and whatever you guys need from me. And I'll let Adrian take it from there.
That was great. Thanks, Corey. We're excited to have you, and more on Corey to come. Yeah.
I think as coaches joining this call, I think we all have a real appreciation for Corey's background as a coach as well. I think that's an really important area of expertise and experience that he brings to the role, which will be really, really helpful. So also want to introduce Shaka Sutton, of course, who everybody knows, our Senior VP of Sports and Unified Schools. We have Jenna Tweet on, who is our Senior Inclusive Health Manager, who will go through a little bit more of our health offerings for the spring and beyond. Kyle Visser, our Competition Assistant. Mandy DeWitt, our Senior Director of Young Athletes. So I'm not sure if I missed any other staff, but that is the team that we have here. Of course, we have a staff of about 40 statewide who are here to support in any way that we can. So we really, really appreciate and fully understand that we as a staff are, we think, small but mighty and could not do what we do without you as coaches. So just want to thank you so much and offer our support as staff here for anything that you need. And then maybe, Susan, if you want to fast forward, I'll just jump into a few quick spring highlights before we turn it over to all those that I just mentioned, who will go through a lot more. But really excited to start out with some fun spring highlights. I feel like for the past, 2 years, there's been a lot of things that have been probably on the more disappointing side that we've had to share. We have some really, really fun updates for the spring. So thanks to you, thanks to lowering COVID cases. We're excited to offer our full spring sports lineup. So our sports, as a reminder, we have athletics, gymnastics, powerlifting, soccer, and swimming. So we will be offering all of our traditional spring sports, of course. Mask update. Masks are now optional outdoors. So that is a welcome and lovely change. For now, they are still required indoors. We will let you know if anything changes between now and the start of spring season, but at least for the winter season, for those of you that are coaches on the winter season, that mask policy does take effect immediately. So masks are now only optional outside, still required inside, but that will be a welcome change for anybody who's doing skiing or snowboarding outside. For spring moving forward with regard to team limits, we will have no restrictions with regard to your team size. So any number of athletes can participate on your team at any given point in time. The paperwork sadly, that part's still the same, but we really want to reiterate. We know there's a lot of paperwork. We know it's a big ask, but on the positive side, we really, that all the paperwork we're getting is what is allowing us as an organization to remain able to provide as much protection to you as athletes, to you as coaches possible. So this comes to us per our insurance provider. So that is why we have so much paperwork. But again, on the flip side, it's been really nice because by signing all of that paperwork, we are still able to offer a lot of the same activities that we did before. But that still exists, and Adrian will get into that in a little bit. And then the most exciting aspect, our state summer games presented by Spectrum. So I see Denise on there. We owe a huge debt of gratitude to Spectrum for being our presenting sponsor of state summer games yet again this year. It's on. We are so excited. So June 17th to 19th. Save the date. We are going back to a traditional circa 2019 state summer games. We will be at Colorado Mesa University in Grand Junction. So we're really excited to be planning for the best state summer games yet. With regard to our COVID protocols, and we will get into this a lot more throughout this call and then provide more information as we get closer to state summer games, but we will be able to provide housing for teams as long as the individuals who are utilizing that housing, be it coaches or athletes, are vaccinated and or provide proof of negative COVID test at least 48 hours ahead of the event. So those are the two things that we are asking, either or. So you either need to be fully vaccinated or be willing to submit a negative COVID test at least 48 hours prior to state summer games. We will be sending out, again, information as we get closer to collect the number of folks that might require a COVID test in advance. And we are going to work to be able to provide those to athletes or coaches on site, so using rapid tests. So again, more information to come on there, but just a few of the spring season highlights and updates. The rest of the team will go through all of it. And then also I just invite you, we'll be doing a town hall on Friday to go through this in a little bit more detail and kind of our other strategic priorities and progress that we've made. So I just want to thank you very, very much. Recognize we're here to ask or answer any questions that you might have. And otherwise I will turn it back over to Susan and Adrian.
All right, thanks, Meg. I'll take it from here. Get to talk about everybody's favorite stuff. So paperwork. Required paperwork is thanks. Required COVID paperwork. For those of you who have done this before, or participated with us at any point during COVID and beyond, we are still asking for the same paperwork as we have before. So these will all be found on our competitions page, which we'll share a little bit more in detail on what the competition page looks like later on in this call. But there are three forms. There's the COVID participant risk form and the code of conduct, and then also the communicable disease waiver. Both of those forms need to be signed by every participant on the team at the first practice or the first practice in which they attend, and then return to a regional manager following that practice. So these are only to be filled out the one time by a participant during a season. Then the next is the team sign-in sheet, and we will need this weekly following each practice. So the team sign-in sheet is really our tracker. So in the event of any exposure at a practice, the sign-in sheet is what we will utilize to notify anybody who is in attendance of an exposure at a practice. So it's really important that we have these, and we have had to use them a fair bit, unfortunately, over the course of the last 2 years. So really helpful for us to have. So please be sure to turn those in. So move on to the next slide. We're going to talk about athlete applications and class names.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Sure. Yeah. Hey, Mark.
Sorry, how you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Good. I think I probably know the answer to this, but I know athletes and parents are going to ask, what's the reason for continuing with mask indoors? You know, again, obviously a lot of changes this past week with CDC, and most all the schools that our athletes attend do not require masks including the bridge programs.
No,
And
that's a fair
definitely
question.
going to have parents asking. So
Yeah. Meg, you want to take this one?
Yeah, happy to. So our current mask policy, I will say, is right now through state or through winter, our winter sports, which would include basketball. We will continue to reevaluate before the start of spring sports. Where it comes from is based on guidelines set forth from Special Olympics International. Those guidelines are based on cases per 100,000 in any given area. And as we all know, that changes week by week, which is why we don't want to, right now we're giving the most kind of stringent of guidelines. My hope, and if cases continue to drop as they are, we will fall within kind of what they're calling the green or low risk, and we will be able to lift those mask mandates inside. But that's where it comes from. It's based on Special Olympics International guidelines and current cases per 100,000. And so just, I know it seems like it's very close, but we're hoping to have an update as we get closer to the start of the spring season.
And just to add on to that, we have modified our indoor mask mandates of late, where athletes, participants on the court are no longer asked to wear masks while practicing and participating in competition. So it's all limited to like bench seating and communicable like areas, like common areas of mass use. So I think that's really the adjustment that we've made in recent months to kind of align with ourselves with the more updated mandates that are coming down the pipe.
And then with everything, I'll just note, we intentionally, I think Special Olympics International, we have tried to stay a step behind in a more positive way, meaning we know our athletes are more high risk when it comes to contracting or the severity of COVID. And so that's why there is slight difference with regard to the CDC guidelines, but we have new protocols from Special Olympics International that I think are much more, they're easier to work with. And so as soon as we get a little bit closer, I'm hoping that we'll be able to update those as well.
A great question, Mark. Thanks for bringing that up. All right, so athlete applications and Class A's. So for those who are new to this process, we've fully moved our athlete application process online. So we are no longer accepting any paper forms. So the athlete application, just to fully clarify, it's a two-part process. There's the physical examination form that athletes will take to their medical provider that they will complete. This is the form that's like their sports physical, essentially capturing their like diagnoses, their medical history, medications that they take, etc. Once that form is completed, that then gets uploaded through the online athlete application, which we'll share links here in the slides as well. Really important to note that you can advance through the athlete application without first finishing and attaching that physical examination form. So that's really the best starting point for all your athletes who are looking to get updated applications. So again, physical examination first, that gets submitted through the online athlete application. If any of you coaches still have old athlete applications, the paper documents, get rid of those, discard them. We can't accept them anymore. So if they are submitted and used by an athlete, unfortunately, we're just gonna have to ask them to do it again. So really want to reinforce that if you have them, get rid of them. It's not something that they're obsolete. We're no longer using them. We also have a athlete help desk that's available now. So in the event that questions come along for anybody who needs additional support, you can submit a ticket through the athlete help desk, and our data team does a really terrific job of providing that customer service to provide support wherever needed. So if there's technical issues, people who need additional support and completing it online or don't have the capacity or ability to do it online themselves, our data team provides that over the phone support to be able to give them that, like walk them through the process or complete it on their behalf. So All the tools are there to be able to support people in completing the applications online. I see we have a hand raised. Tommy, would you like to ask a question?
So this new physical application, is it online? Where do we
Yep.
access that?
So
Okay.
2 ways. The physical exam form is online on our athlete applications page, and we'll share all the links here in an upcoming slide, so you'll be able to access that. But if you ever need support, feel free to reach out to your regional manager, and they could also send you the copy of that physical examination form as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so we'll move on to the next slide. All right, so we wanted to provide you guys with a new resource. So first off, this is not additional paperwork that we're asking of you guys to submit. This is something that we want to share with you as a tool that you could utilize to help support and offload some of the lift that you guys currently have as coaches. So we've heard from several of you about how do we store our athlete applications once we've received them. How do we best document all that stuff? I've heard of coaches who just have large binders of all their athlete applications on file, or storing them on hard drives. And we wanted to provide you with an easy template to be able to utilize at your practices. So I want to share just what this new athlete medical one-pager would look like. So Susan, if you want to move on to the next slide. So this is something we're going to share with you all after the call. Essentially, this is going to be a short form that you can complete one of your initial practices to capture the most important information that you as coaches need to know and have on hand at practices and competitions. So the athlete application is full of information that really isn't applicable to you guys as coaches, and it's a lot of just information that we as Special Olympics need to collect. So this is what you need to have on hand at competitions and practices. So it's your contact information, emergency contact information, their medical history, any medications, and the description of their disability. You guys can then do what you want and how it's stored however it makes sense for you, whether that be a binder that you have physically tangible on hand, or convert this information to a process that you can store on your phone. This at least will give you the opportunity to condense the information that you have and store it in a little bit more manageable capacity. So again, it's up to you guys to decide if you want to use it. This is a resource we're giving to you, and just a tool, but not a requirement by us at any stretch. So this will be shared with everybody following the call.
Hey, Adrian.
Hey, Mark.
Just a thought here. This would be considered medical information, confidential, HIPAA. So just a heads up on that, as far as what you decide to do with it.
Sure. So
I think a personal phone, I would recommend not doing that. Like taking pictures of them and putting them on your phone. Yeah, it's fairly sensitive because it has medications and a diagnosis on it. So just your thoughts about that.
Yeah, good points there. We are not bound by any HIPAA laws. So
really,
this information could be shared amongst people who need to have that information.
Yeah.
You guys as coaches, as their primary point of contact and support system for athletes
right.
in a practice setting, this makes sense for you guys to have that information.
Yeah, it sure does. Yeah, I was just thinking other people that would, could see it if it's laying around in a binder or if it's on our phone. We wouldn't want that to happen. But
agreed.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Interesting.
Yeah. Highly encourage you guys to keep it in a safe place and limit the amount of eyes that are on it. Yeah. Great. So shifting gears, we're going to move on. So next slide. When this pops up. All right, so wanted to clarify terminology that I think has created some confusion amongst coaches, and this is something that I really wanted to just lay it out plainly for everybody here. So There are three terms that pop up regularly. Registration, you've heard that come up more recently as we implemented our new internal registration process around the winter, spring sports, summer sports. That registration is specifically geared towards an individual's registration for a season and the sport specifically. So this is how we do our matching and pair our athletes and unified partners with teams like yours that you guys submitted through our coach registration window. So that's when we use the terms registration, it's specifically tied to getting connected with their team for the season. The athlete application in Class A process is what we require from all participants to become a certified athlete or unified partner or coach with us. And it clears them for 3 years of participation across all our sports. So the athlete application is what I covered before, the physical examination form, all your waivers and release forms, all that stuff for Class A's. It's your background checks, your concussion trainings, all of that gets housed during our Class A process, and that's required for any unified partner and coach tied to the team. So again, that's the variation between registration and athlete application. And then the third element is our competition entries and entry forms. So this is the piece that you as coaches are submitting to us on who's going to be attending our regional and state competition. So this is, we'll go into more detail on this. Susan's going to cover it, but essentially this is where you're submitting your level for your team, your divisions, the roles for your athletes. How do we best assess your team to match them against fair competition in a regional or state competition setting? So I know that this has become some point of confusion for some, so really wanted to clarify what all three of these were. So we'll just move on to the next slide. All right, here are the important links that I referenced earlier, so feel free to use these and look into them a little bit deeper. We'll move on to the next one. All right, so I wanted to also just, for a lot of our new coaches, I think it's really helpful for us to talk about a timeline and how to really prepare and what expectations you should have in various parts of the season. So over the next few slides, I really just wanted to touch on what preseason should look like for you guys as coaches, how you should start preparing for the season, then talk about what in season would look like, and then what you could prepare for or expect coming out of the season. So first off, you guys have already done all of this, but this is the season registration touch points. This is submitting your team and coach registration, and then receiving all the additional information from us, which is going to be happening over the next couple of weeks for our spring season team. So spring season registration closed in March. On March 1st, and we are now doing our kind of behind the scenes matching, pairing all our athletes with all the open positions that you guys referred to us on the registration form. And now we'll be sharing out that information to you guys as coaches over the next couple of weeks for you to review your rosters, provide us with feedback, let us know if the athletes have been properly paired with your team. If you're missing anybody, we can make additions at that point. This is what's happening during this window. Also, you're looking at starting working on securing your facilities, asking for regional manager support on that, and also submitting any COI, certificate of insurance requests, should you have any of those for a facility you may need. Moving on to the next slide. Then you're looking at 4 to 6 weeks before practice. This is when you're going to be receiving those rosters for review. This is when we start making those connections with athlete families so that they know who they're paired with. We're hosting the webinar, and then coach communication. You guys will then start sending updates on all the different things that are happening over the course of the season. 2 to 4 weeks out, this is when you guys should start looking at uniforms, securing any equipment that you need, any of that stuff to be able to support your team during those initial weeks of practice. And then first week of practice, you're communicating any final updates to your team and making sure that they're ready to go for the season. Now we'll move on into in season. So about 8 weeks, so right at the start of the season, you're going to be submitting any new roster updates to regional managers. So as you guys all will know, there's going to be athletes who will come to your practices who may not have been listed on the rosters that we sent out, who you need to get a better idea of what their status is with their Class A's or their athlete applications. This is a window to let us know as regional managers so we can add them to your roster, and then also send you an update on what their status is so that they could get started on any athlete applications should they need it. Then this is where you're doing all the your training. You're getting all the COVID paperwork's done. You're getting your team prepared for the season. 4 to 5 weeks beforehand, you're conducting your athlete assessments and drills. So this is really important. So probably 2 to 3 weeks prior to the entry form deadline, you want to be having those assessment periods. So you're looking at, how does your team shake up? What's your level? How does each individual rate, so that you know how to properly fill out that entry form once that time comes up on you. Then moving on to in-season expectations. The next slide, we're looking at right in the 2 to 3 weeks out before a regional competition, you're submitting your entry form to both your regional manager and then also our Susan, our senior director of competitions. It's really important that you include your birthdays, your roles. All your coaches need to be listed on it. That's including all your assistant coaches, and then really indicate if you're going to be attending state. Susan's going to dive into this more, so it's going to make more sense here in a little bit. One thing that we really want to highlight is that athlete applications and Class A's must be done before a regional competition. If they're not, that individual cannot attend and participate in the event. And to really reinforce that, if they don't attend in a regional competition, they cannot participate at a state competition. So really important that when you receive your rosters over the next couple of weeks, you start working with your athletes to get them prepared so that they are able to attend a state competition and a regional competition. And then moving on, postseason, just to close out, you guys will receive your results of the competitions from Susan, and they'll also be posted on the competitions page on our website. And then we host a Champions Highlight Show. So it's a recap show, basically highlighting everything that happened in that season and all the different sports. And it's a really great way to just commemorate all that happened during that season. So really encourage you to share that with your team so that they can watch and see how they performed and watch that recap, and those will be shared on Facebook Live and YouTube. I see we have a hand raised from Sharon. Sharon?
So we do a lot of miscellaneous folks, and we have elderly caregivers and folks, in their 50s. They're working on, they don't even do Facebook. So
Sure.
Your athlete applications and everything are great for someone that has younger families support, but it gets lost on other people, and then they don't think they can participate. So somehow you want people to sign up, but you also need to let them know that it is not imperative and it is not going to keep them from participating. Because I've already had 3 or 4 people that have missed the deadline and they do not think they can participate, which is absolutely not the case. So
right. Yep. So that's where we lean on you guys as coaches. You have those connections already with those people who may not have submitted the online registration, and that's when we give you that roster so that you have that review period to let us know if anybody is missing. So then you can either add those people in yourself. If you know that Jimmy and Johnny are planning on joining your team, you can add them onto your roster, and that helps us get them registered on the back end, or let us know directly, and then we can add them ourselves too. So yeah, we are definitely aware that not everybody's going to be able to handle the online seasonal registration. So we would love your support as a coach and making sure we capture everybody.
Okay, and the other thing is these same people are not able to fill out their own application.
Okay.
And they don't know if they're mild, moderate, or profound intelligent level. And that's not even in the IDD world anymore. That's not even really a terms being used. So when I fill it out or ask a parent to tell me what intelligent level their kid is, it's really almost heartbreaking to someone that works in the field regularly. So just know that I get why you need it, but as a coach, I can see what level that person is, and I'm going to coach that person at his level, his or her level. So
yeah, and I think there's just I think a misinterpretation there on what we're asking when we are trying to gauge a person's ability level through the registration process, and I totally understand where you're coming from. I think what we're actually trying to capture there is like their sport ability. Like if they have done the sport before, are they new to basketball, or have they been playing basketball their whole lives and they're really a strong basketball player. That's what we're looking for, so that we know to best match them with similar experience amongst our athletes. And then for you guys, once you're doing the assessments at practices, that's when you guys are determining, okay, all of our athletes are in this, this same range that Susan's going to cover here in a little bit, and then we are able to match them in that light competition. But thank you for all that feedback, Sharon. We really appreciate it.
Adrian, just one last thing. I think what she's meaning is the athlete application asks that, not the registration. So there is a section in there where you do have to ask either the parent or the athlete. Sometimes they don't have a caregiver to answer that. And I think she's just uncomfortable with that language.
Okay.
Which, Sharon, we can certainly reevaluate that on our end and see if it's something that we need from maybe a Special Olympics International, or if it's something that we can potentially change within our organization. So we'll look at that.
Yeah, duly noted, and we'll look into that a little bit further. Thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, the medical language that you're referring to, it's from Special Olympics International. It's a really great point, and we'll bring this up with them, and we're working with them to try and cut it down to a number of questions that are asked. So thank you for bringing that up.
All right, thank you guys for listening.
Absolutely. Yep. All right, so I think that brings my portion to close. Now we get to talk about all the fun stuff, so I get to kick it to Susan. Susan, you get to take it from here.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. We are, as Megan mentioned, we are back full coming into the spring season, and here is a list of our events. So I'm just going to walk through these. There are a few changes here, and there are a couple that we're still determining. We will be doing our regional powerlifting competition at Greeley High School again. That'll be April 9th. That's the regional competition. Those athletes will compete in the state competition June 17th, 18th, and 19th. On April 24th, we'll have a Northeast swimming event up at Loveland High School. Again, that'll be a regional event. So for any of these regional events, I should go ahead and say, athletes, you don't need to be just in the Northeast region to attend that event. If any other athletes want to attend that event, they're more than welcome to. But just as a reminder, for all of the events that we do require a regional competition participation will be required before coming to the state summer games. So for powerlifting, for swimming, for athletics, and for soccer, those 4 events will need to have you'll need to attend a regional event in order to come to the state summer games. Okay. May 6th and 7th, we'll be doing the Delta Aquatics event up at the Bill Heddles Recreation Center. On May 7th, for the Denver region, we're going to call it kind of like a Denver Spring Games, kind of like a mini games. It is going to be athletics and swimming taking place at the same time on the same day. So for some of those Denver athletes who like to swim and do athletics, you have the option to go up to the Northeast swimming or also the Southeast swimming the following weekend. The Southeast swimming will be combined again, as it has been in the past, down in at Fountain Fort Carson High School, We will have a Western Athletics taking place out at Stoker Stadium. And then the state gymnastics, which is the only gymnastics competition we offer, will be in May. And we are finalizing our location for the Front Range Soccer event as well that will take place in May. And then this will all come together and culminate for our state Summer Games presented by Spectrum, June 17th through the 19th in Grand Junction at Colorado Mesa University. Any questions on any of that?
Susan, I just want to say one thing for the Western track and field or the athletics on May 15th. Just know that this is entirely based on if the construction is done and it's a safe place for us to compete at. So if anything should change, I will let everybody know ahead of time. But for right now, that's the plan.
Awesome. Thanks, Michelle. And kind of to piggyback on that, Colorado Mesa is having some construction as well. So our venues will be looking a little different. There are a few spaces a few venues we're still trying to finalize, but all that will be shared once we get a little bit closer as well.
Okay, Susan, I have a question. Where is Northeast Athletics going to be for regionals? Or
yeah, that'll be that's typically the one that we host in the Denver area. So that'll be the May 7th event. Oh,
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, good call. I should rename that as well, but yeah. Okay. I'm going to, all the information that we are going to talk about now and go through is all going to be found on our competitions page. So here is a look at our competitions page. You'll need to scroll down pending what time of the year it is. So right now we're still in our winter season. So you'll need to scroll past that. And then we still have basketball coming up. So we'll need to scroll past that. And then we will be in our spring season. All of our events will be listed over here. And for more information on each event, you will click on those events and it will take you over to the event page. And then any final information will be listed on here as well. So this is where we'll post general schedules and that kind of information on. Okay. We will also have, as my computer slowly makes its way back, we also have all of the resources listed over here for each sport. Okay. So when you click to expand these, we will have all of our different entry forms here. There's a sample for every entry form that we have up here. Athletics is a long one. We've got a few. And then we also have our Special Olympics Colorado rule interpretations and these Special Olympics International rules here as well. So I'm going to go through a little bit more detail on what those look like, but the most latest and greatest updated information will be here. So as soon as we get those last few events squared away, we will be adding those to the to this upcoming spring season competitions page as well. Okay, we also have a return to play guidelines. That's located on that page as well. In the past, we've had a very specific one for each sport, but at this point, we've combined them all into one. It is just given the mask update guidelines that Megan has shared, and we will go ahead and continue to update that as our guidelines change. Again, entry forms, the SOCO rules, the SOI rules, all of that will be found on the competitions page. Okay. All right, I'm going to jump into athletics, which is also known as track and field. We refer to it as athletics. We offer races ranging from the 25-meter walk to a 5K run. So for distances of a 50-meter run to a 1,500 meter of the races we offer a run and a race walk event. You might ask, what's the biggest difference between a run and a walk? And it may seem simple to just look and know the difference. The technical difference is that in a walk, in any of our walk races, there's always one foot on the ground at all times. So if you've seen the speed walkers, the race walkers, they kind of do the hip motion, but they always have one foot on the ground at a time. So that is the biggest difference between a run and a walk. The next question might be, well, my athlete's not, maybe the athlete I'm coaching isn't really fast into running and they just run a part of it and walk a part of it and run a little and walk a little. If there's any running that takes place in a walk race, athletes are given one verbal warning. And if they run again, they're disqualified from the race. So if there's an athlete on your team that you're coaching that walks for most of the race and then runs when they get to the last 10 meters, I would recommend putting them in a run race, not a walk race. The folks that are walking those walk races are really, like I said, they're just walking those races. They're aware that when the lanes 2 and 4 next to them start to go, they're not going to take off running. They're going to continue walking. So just keep that in mind when you're entering athletes into events. That being said, if an athlete is in the 100-meter run and the 200-meter run, they cannot be in another walk event. They can't be in a relay walk event. They have to either be in all running events or all walking events. And that includes the individual events and the relay events. Okay. Any races that are from the 25-meter to the 400-meter they will start and finish in the same lane. Okay, so at the beginning of each race for those distances, athletes will be given a lane and they must start and finish in that same lane, or that could result in disqualification as well. The 800 and the 1500 will be a waterfall start, and then athletes will be able to shift inside out at the marked point on the track. We typically have a volunteer there, encouraging everyone to move in at that point. If you have an athlete that is hearing impaired in any of those races, please let us know ahead of time so we can make sure that we are letting them know in the proper way when they can scoot into the inside lanes for those longer races. Okay. All of our track events will be started at all our regional and state competitions with a starter pistol gun, following the proper verbal commands. If there is an individual on your team that is visually impaired or hearing impaired, let us know and we will make accommodations for those individuals as well. This is one thing that comes up often of if we can, how to train athletes for it. There's a few things you can do. I've seen people get some 2x4s and clap those together to simulate that sound. You can also grab a metal clipboard, and clamp the end of it, kind of just hold on to that metal part, and that will make a sound similar to the gun as well. So it's helpful to practice that ahead of time so athletes are aware that that's happening at regional and state competitions. We also do offer the pentathlon, which covers, oh no, I'm testing myself, I didn't put it on here. It is the 100, the 400, the high jump, the shot put, and the running long jump. So the athletes compete in all of those events at one time or throughout the day in a specific order, and then receive points based on each event. If you have an athlete that receives a 0 at the event, that could result also in disqualification in that event. There's a raised hand. You have a question? Yeah, go ahead.
So I have a question. One of our athletes, he's visually impaired, and he really didn't like how Special Olympics set up for the track and field one year. And he reminds me because he had to actually go like another length of the track, and he got really frustrated about that. And I'm like, because he didn't have any markers on the track or something like that. And so he got really frustrated about that.
Okay. And that was during his race, I assume?
Yeah.
Okay. And what distance race was it?
Sharon, do you know? I think it might have been the run. I think it was maybe because I think it might have been like the 400-meter run.
Okay. We can touch base on that and make sure that we have that squared away.
That'd be great.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I just said that'd be great.
Yeah, we can definitely, and that's something, if you can note that on the entry forms when you're sending them in, just make a note on there that the athlete is visually impaired so that we're aware of that. And then in addition, when that athlete's checking in for the race, just give us a reminder so that we can make sure that we are accommodating in the proper ways. And I will circle back on exactly what our policies are on the guide ropes and I don't believe it's a guide rope at the 400. I believe it's a person walking with them, giving them cues. And that's something that we'd obviously probably defer to you guys to do if you're familiar with the athletes.
Well, and he's pretty independent. Like he runs by himself, but like I said, he was just really frustrated at that point. So
okay, yeah, definitely note it on there, and we'll make sure moving forward that we don't run into that again.
Yeah,
and if he has any feedback, he's more than welcome to share it with us, and we can talk through it too. I'm happy to do that as well.
Yep.
Great. We also offer, in addition to our track events, we also offer field events. So in our throwing events, we have the tennis ball throw, the shot put, the softball throw, and the shot put. And you can kind of think of it as a progression. The tennis ball throw is that first level right down here. It's for athletes that maybe don't have the grasp to be able to hold the softball or a shot put and create that. It's kind of that learning piece in there. The softball throw is the next step up. It's a little bit of a bigger ball and a little more technical in that sense. And then finally it all culminates up at the shot put, which is it's a tricky event to coach, but it's something that we definitely want to encourage some athletes who are throwing that softball, down the entire football field to investigate and see if they are able to do that. And we can provide some resources if you need that for coaching those as well. We also offer 2 jumping events. One is the standing long jump and one is the running long jump. The difference between that is the standing long jump, it is a 2-footed takeoff right from the, sorry, you're not running to get up to it. Your 2 feet, your feet are planted on the ground and you're jumping. Whereas the running long jump, you're taking a running approach to make your jump as well. Okay. Go ahead, Tammy.
Just got a question for relay. Are we doing relay this year?
Yep, I will get to that. I will get to that in a minute.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
No problem. We also offer some assisted races in distance ranging from 15 meters to 400 meters. Sorry about that. In assisted races for individuals that are using a walker, using a cane, just using some sort of assisted device, crutches, assisted device like that. The coach is not an assisted device in these races. Okay, so the coach, so in these situations, we won't have a coach walking next to an athlete holding them and being the assisted device in that situation. So the assisted device is actually an additional assisted device. And for visually impaired athletes, it's a different story. And we do have the batons that we hold together, that we have a guide runner with an athlete who's visually impaired. Those folks would just be in the regular race. That's not considered an assisted device in this situation. Okay. We also do have wheelchair races for athletes who use wheelchairs. We have those races ranging from anywhere from 10 meters to 50 meters. We offer non-motorized and motorized, as well as slalom races in the wheelchair divisions as well. All right, here we go, Tammy. These are all the relay races we offer. So we will be offering a 4x25 wheelchair race, 4x100 walk, 4x100 run, 4x400 walk and run, and then a 4x100 run, a 4x100 walk, and then these last few are unified, and a 4x400 run. All of the unified ones, we'd ideally like to have 2 partners and 2 athletes participating in those races. All of our relays will follow a typical relay format. Each team will have a baton. They will have an exchange zone that they need to exchange their baton in. And we will work with our volunteer crew to get those folks set up in a particular area. If you're training with your relay team and they have specific spots that they know to stand in the relay exchange area, let us know ahead of time. And we can talk through, if you want to mark those spots, or so the volunteers are familiar with those spots, or what that might look like as well. Okay. Athletes can compete in 2 events and a relay, and then the pentathlon athletes can also compete in a relay as well. Any items not covered in the SoCo rule and terps. So I mentioned our SoCo rule and terps. That's basically the Cliff Note version of the rules. It's kind of pulling out common things we ran into, things about uniforms, quick tidbits about the events. That's kind of your first level to check over for rules. After that, you'll want to go to the SOI rules. It's more in detail. It covers all the events offered. We might not offer all the events that SOI offers, Special Olympics, International. So that covers a little bit of a broader area. And then if any of your questions aren't covered in there, the USAA track and field is the governing body of our track, of our athletics as well. Okay. I'm going to just show you the entry forms real quick. So this is our, again, all of our entry forms are on our website. They are all fillable. But make sure you download them first. If you click on it and start to type it in from our website, you won't be able to save it. So make sure you're going to download that first as well. So you'll just fill out this top information. You will check over here if you plan on entering, if you plan on attending the state competition. We'll have athlete names, gender, date of birth, and we do actually over here have a spot for guide runner. So for any individuals who are visually impaired that are in some of those longer races, you can add the guide runner into that space right there. And then we're asking if there's an athlete or a partner, if the person's an athlete or a partner. And here are all the events that we offer. And all you'll need to do is put times into these spaces. Okay. MATP is another program we offer. It's our motor activities training program. And it is for athletes who just aren't able to participate in the traditional events that we do offer in track. And so it's focused a lot on some basic movement skills, and it's a great event for athletes who are ready to participate but not quite ready to do some of these races. And then we have also got the tennis ball throw, our throwing events, and our jumping events over here. If you're in a throwing event, you can only be in one of these. You can't be in the tennis ball throw and the softball throw, so you just have to pick one of these. Same thing with jumping. If you're either in the standing, the running, long jump, or the high jump in there as well. And then this entry form does have like a few more pages on it as well to refer to. We also have a different form for our assisted devices entry form. And again, these are, a crutch, canes, walkers, things to that extent. And these are all listed up here as well, along with our throwing and jumping events. Okay. We also, I think athletics has the most entry forms, just because there's so many different events that we do offer. This is the athletics wheelchair entry form. So these are the events we offer in the wheelchair, as well as our throwing on here as well. Okay. The final athletics entry form is the athletics relay form. So this is where we put everyone's, you'll put your name, program, head coach, event up here, your relay team name, and feel free to have fun and get creative with your team names. It doesn't necessarily need to be Susan's team 1, 2, 3, and 4. Your relay teams can have whatever kind of names you want them to have. If the teams want to vote on them, whatever you guys want to do on that. And then you'll list your partners and athletes here and check off which event you are in as well. And please be sure to list athletes in the order they will be racing in. That is, we will use that for the competition itself. And you also can add an alternate of an athlete and a partner. Okay. All right, I think those are all the athletic entry forms. Any questions on any of those pieces? Okay. And just
Susan, sorry, I had a quick question. You might be hearing the piano concert in the background. Sorry. Where would we find that information about that MAT program?
Oh, about the MATP program?
Yeah, just to figure out
just
how
go
it
ahead and
works.
reach out to myself or the regional manager, and we'll get you some of the information that we have. I will also work to get it up on our website under the athletics area. We just don't have it up there right now.
Okay.
This is what our rule and terps look like. Like I said, it's kind of just the abridged version of all the rules. So if there's questions on things that you have, you can check out this. There's definitely some specific information on each event, as well as the weights for shot put and those kinds of pieces of information. Go ahead, Tammy.
Just one more question, just to clarify, are we still having athletes can only participate in 3 events only?
They can compete in 2 events, and a relay.
Okay, so they can do like a softball, a 50-meter, and then a relay?
Mm-hmm. Correct, yes.
Okay, all right, that's why I need a clarification. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Nayla, did you have a question? Your hand's up.
Yeah, I have a question. What was that paper that showed all the information?
It's the rule and terps. So on
Where?
our competitions page, yep. So on our competitions page, you'll find it right under here under athletics, athletics track and field. And it'll be the Special Olympics Colorado athletics rule interpretations.
That way, because that way, a lot of the athletes are like saying to me, where should I go? What's going to be happening? That like I get that all the time, and I'm like, and then this will probably help me a lot.
Oh, good. Fantastic. Great.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other athletics questions? All right. Moving on to gymnastics. Gymnastics is our only spring sport where we do not offer a regional and state competition. We just offer a state competition. And that will take place in May. And as soon as I have that confirmed, we will get that out to all the gymnastics coaches. These are the events we offer. So we offer the artistic female, artistic male, and a rhythmic female. And I've noted these specific events underneath there as well. Athletes can do a maximum of 2 events unless they're doing the all around, and then they can do all of them. Okay. All right. And these items are all found again in the SOCO rule interp. So the written text that can be found for the guidelines for the routines will be in the SOI guidelines, and that's the official version of the routines as well. Okay. And let's see if I have it open. I would definitely, if you're a gymnastics coach, visit our gymnastics rule interps. There's some information in here on uniforms, on scoring, on the routines, on all the different levels, etc. as well. Our gymnastics entry form, that'll have a separate entry form for each level that I talked about. So we've got the artistic female, we'll add the athlete's name, their gender, their date of birth, and then what level they are based on whichever event that they are currently in. So we've got that for the artistic female, the artistic male, as well as the rhythmic female. Okay. And as I mentioned on our website, there is a sample for each one. So if you're not exactly sure what you want to do or how to set it up, obviously you can always reach out to us, but you'll be able to kind of look at those samples to get a little bit of information on those as well. Okay. Anything not covered by our rules is covered by USA, the USA gymnastics rules. Any questions on any of those items? Okay, on to powerlifting. We offer 3 events as a part of our powerlifting events. They are the bench press, the squat, and the deadlift. Athletes can participate in 1, 2, or all 3 of them. If they choose to participate, pending the events they choose to participate in, they could be entered in the combined as well. Something important to note with powerlifting, athletes must be 14 years of age to compete, and that's just a powerlifting rule based on powerlifting, and just that is the rule that SOI is shared and that powerlifting is shared as well. There will be separate divisions based on gender, age, body weight, and best lifts. And so all that information, I'm going to go ahead and pull this up super quick. We'll be asking for all that information on the entry forms here. Okay, so it'll ask what events we want, if they want to do the combined bench and deadlift, or if they're in all 3, they would be in the combined bench, dead, and squat. And then just be sure to be checking under male or female the proper kilogram category, as well as the personal best in pound. Now, we also understand you're filling these out at the beginning of the season, and this will go for all the entry forms, and that once we get close to the competition, there's a good chance someone's going to add 20 pounds onto their bench press. So that's something that we will work with you to figure out before we get to the competitions, to make sure that we have the most updated and accurate information. We want everyone coming into regionals trained and doing their best and competing at the best level they can. And in order to create the best competition, we need this information to be able to create the best divisions that we can. Okay. Any questions on powerlifting? And for new powerlifting teams, we are working on trying to set up a powerlifting clinic. So stay tuned for that. We hope to get something in the books over the next couple of weeks for some of our new folks to join with that. All right, next up will be soccer. Soccer, we will be offering, as we did last year, a 7v7 traditional and unified, as well as the All-Star Skills Challenge. For team competition, teams will need to assess their team based on ratings between 1 and 4. I'm going to share a quick document here. This is found on our website. It is the 2022 divisioning, and it is how to determine and rate your team. So what you'll do here is you will, read through these, see where the majority of your athletes fall. It'll be pretty unlikely that every single athlete on your team is going to fit into one of these categories or all of the same categories. So what I would do on the entry form, whoops, that's not the right entry form. The entry form over here is you can put their overall ratings based on a 1 to 4 scale. Okay. So if I'm in the first one and I'm going to be a 3, Michelle Peters is the next one. She's going to be a 1. And we're going to continue to go down until we look at that overall rating. And that'll give you a good idea of where you would fall between each of your team levels as well. Okay. The field dimensions, there is a range we have. The smallest it will be 35 by 50 meters. And the largest it will be 50 by 70 meters. So just keeping that in mind, it is a much bigger field than the 5v5. I think we discovered that last year when we're setting it up. But so just keep that in mind when you're conditioning for the season as well. Goals will be a 5 meter by 2 meters as well. Teams ages 16 and up will use a size 5 soccer ball. Any of our junior teams will use a size 4 soccer ball. All soccer games will consist of 2 20-minute halves with a 3-minute interval. If you've been to I laugh because it typically snows at our regional soccer, and then in Grand Junction, it's about 122 degrees when we're out there. So, the refs are going to be in tune to that. And if it's hot, we're happy to have the water breaks halfway through each half to make sure that athletes are staying hydrated and safe as well. For new folks who are new to soccer, probably these last 2 items are the biggest changes. When the ball goes out of bounds on the sidelines of the field, a kick-in will take place instead of a throw-in. So ball goes out on the sidelines, I kick it out, the other team gets to do a kick-in. A corner kick, when the defensive team kicks the ball out over the goal line, not in the goal obviously, that'll be a typical corner kick. However, when the attacking team kicks the ball out over the goal line, not within the goal, then typically in soccer, that's a goal kick. We don't do goal kicks. The goalie does a throw clearance that cannot go past the halfway, the midfield spot in soccer. Okay. Again, we will be offering the All-Star Skills Challenge, and that'll test athlete skills in control, dribbling, passing, shooting, goalkeeping, fitness, and juggling. Any rules that aren't covered by the SOCO rule interps or the SOI rules will be covered by FIFA. I'm just going to pull up those entry forms real quick. So this will be the team entry form right here. This is where we'll have everyone's name, whether they're a partner athlete, a gender, a date of birth, and what their overall rating is. And then you will note on here if you plan to attend state, if you're missing anybody from the past, and then what level you plan to be, and if you're stronger or weaker than you've been in the past as well. That's the team form. The individual skills soccer form will look pretty similar. Well, you'll just be putting in a total score for that as well. And this is a document that we've got on our site. This is how to walk through the All-Star Performance Challenge and how to score it as well. So what you'll do is you'll actually run the athletes directly through all these skills, and you will provide us with the score on the specific entry form. Okay. Any questions on any of those items? All right, on to swimming. Swimming, which was formerly known as aquatics, is officially in the Special Olympics world now known as swimming. We have events ranging from the 25 meter to the 400 in various strokes, including the IM races. We also offer relay races for the 4x25 and the 4x50 in free, medley, and unified. In addition to those races, we also offer lead up events. Actually, I'm going to pull up the swimming entry form. Here's what our swimming entry form looks like. It's similar to our other individual sport forms where we've got athlete name, gender, date of birth, and if they're an athlete or a partner. And then you can put times of what events their times will go in here as well. Okay, and then make sure when you're submitting times, you're letting us know if you're submitting them in meters or yards. We just want to make sure we're entering everybody on the same page and keeping everything consistent. In addition to offering our traditional races in swimming, we also offer lead-up events. These events are created for swimmers that are not able to swim the length of the pool independently. Now, this is something that maybe the athletes start here for regionals, and then by the end of by the time state comes, they're ready to move up to be able to swim that 25-meter across the pool. And that's great. We're more than happy to do that as well. We also have various types of lead-up events. So we have walks, we have flotation races, we have assisted swims, and then we also do have unassisted swims in there. We do have a 25-meter unassisted swim in the lead up to get the athletes really ready to move on to that next level as well. Okay. Just a few things to note. After the race begins, the athletes can stand on the bottom of the pool. However, if they push off or lunge forward, that could result in a disqualification. The swimmer can hold on to the lane lines. However, they cannot pull themselves forward using that. Athletes will be able to compete in 3 events. We will do the start commands for races with a whistle, take your marks, the strobe, and the tone start. And then anything not covered under our rules will be covered by the National Federation of High Schools. Okay. Yes, did you have a question?
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna be leaving. So I'm pretty tired right now. So but then is there gonna be like a PowerPoint notes?
Yep. So
Okay.
we will send this out as well as the recording of the rest of the call. Mhm.
Okay, see you guys. Have a good night.
Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us.
Yep.
Any other questions? Oh, and then the last form I wanted to show you real quick for swimming, also known as aquatics. I will get all these updated. I knew I missed a few. Is the relay form with the relays that we have offered down here as well. Okay. Any questions on any of those pieces? Okay. Just real quick before I get to the summer games piece, I just want to touch base. The entry forms are extremely important to get into us so that we know, so that we can kind of expedite the process of figuring out, first of all, who still needs paperwork, and second of all, start to work on planning the schedule and those pieces. Very important to include a birth date. If there's not a birth date, we will not be able to enter them into our system. And we just want to get everybody entered as best we can. So make sure you've got the birth date. If at the beginning of the season, you don't have the best, most updated time, that's okay. We can update times as we get closer. For us, it's more important to have the individuals and the events they're in, and then a little bit farther out. And then once we get closer, we can add times in, okay? Any questions on any of the items I covered, anything in the chat that came up or anything that needs to be covered? Okay, sounds good. Then on to, as Megan mentioned, we will be back at CMU for the 2022 State Summer Games presented by Spectrum. Competition will take place June 17th through the 19th, and we will have athletics, powerlifting, soccer, and swimming being a part of the event. Opening ceremonies will be Friday evening, and we are planning to be at the new baseball stadium at CMU, so it'll be right on campus, so it'll even be easier to get to. And then June 18th and 19th will be competition days. For all the events except powerlifting, they are only offering that on Saturday. Healthy athletes will also offer all disciplines as they have in the past. Again, Megan touched base on the housing information. We'll have Olympic Town with plenty of fun for all. We'll have a bunch of new souvenirs, and the victory dance will be back. If anyone's creative and has an idea for the theme, please feel free to add that to the chat. And we'll have plenty more to come. So stay tuned for all of that. All right, I think that wraps up our spring season with summer games. I'm just going to touch on this slide. Moving into the summer season, our summer season covers the sports of golf, bocce, cycling, tennis, and softball. Those are our summer season sports, and that will kind of all culminate together at the Summer Classic in August. But here's just a quick timeline of the registration process right here. And then I also just want to mention real quick Athlete Leadership University. So just here's some notes on the Athlete Leadership University. This is great to share with your athletes, or if you are looking for, if you're looking to get involved as a mentor, or, we're looking for, they're going to have a fall coaching major in the fall, and who better to help with that than some of our amazing coaches. So, think about that, keep an eye on that, and reach out to us if you have any questions on that. We've got a few promotional items coming up. We do March 18th through the 21st will be a great time to head over to Dick's if you need any last minute items for your spring season. Use this coupon and you can get 20% off. In addition, Jersey Mike's is doing a month of giving for March. So if you need a sandwich, I would highly recommend Jersey Mike's in March. And then on March 30th, any proceeds, Jersey Mike's will be donating 100% of the proceeds to support USA Games and Team Colorado. So if you really want to hold out all year long, wait till the 30th and go. But otherwise, any chance you can go to get a sandwich will help us out. Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Jenna.
Thanks, Susan. So yeah, this is just a little bit of what we have planned for healthy athletes for the spring season. So time and location details are coming soon. Wherever the regional competition that you see listed there is happening, that's where we'll be happening as well. And then the screening will just be, running during the competition like in the past. And so on May 7th at Denver Regional Spring Games, we are excited to host Strong Minds along with Special Smiles. So Strong Minds, you guys haven't seen, I think, since 2020, and Special Smiles since probably 2019. So we're super excited to bring those back. They both will be located outside near athletics. So if you're looking for those at the competition, kind of look over in that general area, and we'll have those two screenings set up. And then on May 14th at the Southeast Regional Spring Games, we're going to have Strong Minds again. And so once again, that'll be over by athletics. So just look for the tents and look for our screening over there. We'll have some great giveaways for the athletes. We're really going to make Strong Minds super fun and interactive as well. So make sure you guys check that out and bring your athletes over. And then we'll have another MedFest coming up on May 14th at Rocky Vista University. So if you have athletes who need to get physicals completed, keep that date in mind. The sign up is open for that. So if you really want to be on top of it and get athletes signed up for May 14th, you can just shoot me an email. My email is just J and then my last name tweets, TWETE at specialolympicsco.org. So if you need details on that, just let me know. We can go to the next slide. And then, like Susan mentioned, we're going to offer pretty much all of our screenings. The only one you guys won't see is MedFest happening. But as of me checking my email about 30 minutes ago, we have confirmation from clinical directors to do Special Smiles, Strong Minds, Fun Fitness, Health Promotion, Opening Eyes, and Fit Feet. So we're almost there. I'm just waiting for hopefully confirmation from a clinical director so we can offer healthy hearing. But we are making great progress to having all of those screenings there for you guys. So it's going to be very exciting. I'm super excited to bring this to you guys. This is an event I've been excited about since I stepped into this role. So I'm happy that it gets to happen this year. So make sure you bring athletes over to that on June 18th. The next slide. And then just like you guys saw, if you were part of the winter season, we are trying to have health at all of our competitions. And so if you don't see a healthy athlete screening or our performance stations happening, we will have Health for All kits at the competition. So if you don't see us set up somewhere under tents, we're indoors somewhere, keep an eye out at awards for our Health for All kits. So that way your athletes will still be leaving with some health education and just fun little things for them to take home and remind them to keep their health as a top priority. So don't forget to look out for those. Next slide. And then just always a reminder, our fitness captain program is still a thing. It is still happening. So hopefully you guys have fitness captains on your team and they're leading warm-ups for you guys at the start of practice. Once you guys get practicing, if you realize you don't have a fitness captain, go ahead and nominate one. We're always holding fitness captain trainings when they're needed, and we're always looking for more athlete leaders to kind of emerge from your teams. And you guys are also welcome to have more than one fitness captain on a team as well. So if you already have one, but you see another athlete kind of stepping forward as a leader, go ahead and nominate them. And on the next slide is just kind of the information on how to nominate a fitness captain. So we have our SoCo fitness captain email there. And my coworker Casey will field all of those. And all we're just looking for is the athlete's name, a way to contact them, the teams that they're on, the sports they play, and just why are you nominating them to be a fitness captain. And it also helps us too if you can let them know that you nominated them, so that when we reach out, it's not like, what is this? So that way, you know, they know we're coming and we're bringing this awesome opportunity to them. And I think that was all I had to say for today. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jenna. And I just want to finish off by, we just want to thank all of you coaches for just sticking through it all. I feel like we're finally coming out on the other side, maybe a little bit. I feel like I don't want to jinx anything by saying that, but to be back in action in Grand Junction is going to be really exciting. And I don't think we'd be there without everything that you guys have done to get us where we are. So thank you so much for your just constant commitment to the Special Olympics, to the athletes of Special Olympics Colorado, and the programming and working with us on everything that's coming your way. So we will stay on for a few more questions if anyone has any. We will send out the PowerPoint presentation and the link to the video in case you want to watch it again. It was pretty riveting. I know, like, we might just review it and catch up on it. We rerun it back like football tapes, and we rewatch it, and, you know, we get the big board out, and no, just kidding. But thank you. I don't want to take up any more of your time. You guys can go ahead and hop off unless you have any questions. Like I said, our staff will stay on to answer any questions you might have. But other than that, enjoy your evening and your week, and we'll see everybody soon.
Susan?
Yes.
Coach Keith.
Keith.
Is Michelle there?
Yep, Michelle's there too.
When do we start practice for track and field? Because I didn't get on the beginning of it.
Oh, you can start, whenever you want to. We require 8 weeks of practice. So when I would say, whenever you guys typically start, you'll be able to, you can start and coordinate all that.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Susan, this is Mary.
Hi, Mary.
Quick question on track and field. If we don't do the relay for all of our athletes, do they get to do 3 events? That's what we've done in the past.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So if they do a relay, it's 2 events plus a relay. If they don't do a relay, it's 3 events.
Correct. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect.
Hi, I just want to confirm the regionals, the Northeast regionals for swimming is at Loveland High School, not at Mountain View.
No, I apologize. It's at Mountain View. You're correct.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I was like, it's always been at Mountain View. So
nope. Good catch on that. I think I got that confused with another one. So I will update that.
All right, thank you.
Heather, are you still on?
Yeah.
Oh, Heather, are you able to unmute yourself and let us know what region you're in? So we'll get you connected with the regional manager. Heather just had a few uniform questions. And I think the Western, perfect. So Michelle, can you connect with Heather on that, on uniforms? Oh, her mic doesn't work. Okay. Do you have her information, Michelle?
Yes, I do. I'll get back with you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. All right. Anything else? Awesome. Well, I think we will go ahead and call. Oh, sorry, was that a question?
Yeah, Susan? Coach Keith again, can you hear me?
Yes.
Did you guys get that money we sent in yet?
Yes. We did, Keith. It was in my mailbox in our office, and I just found it the other day, and we've got it squared away.
So you found both of them then?
Yep, we got the money order just the other day. Correct.
Awesome. What about the $75? So you got the $75 one plus the other one?
Yep.
Yeah,
correct.
Keith, I left you a voicemail on your cell phone, I think this afternoon. So all that information's on there. If you want to give me a call tomorrow, I'm happy to run through it with you.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you. So how much does he have, Michelle?
I think it's kind of personal information, so we'll go over it later, but it is updated on your link that I had sent you to your email, Keith. So if
Okay.
you want to check it there, you'll find the full amount right now.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, good job.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Go
In
ahead.
regards to, can athletes do multiple events, or are there time issues with that?
So for any competitions where we have more than one sport taking place, so for the Denver and the Southeast regional event where there is swimming and track and field, they'll only be able to pick one event. And then the same thing will go for state summer games. They'll only be able to pick one event. But, if they choose to go to the Denver swimming and the Southeast track and field, that's fine. And they'll be able to do that as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anybody have anything else? Tammy, did you have a question? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is for Adrian. I know we have a new Southeast Region Manager, Corey. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm still wondering about the school districts down here. Is it a go or a no-go? Can I go and start looking for a track and field to practice on, or no?
I'm still working on it.
You're still working on it. Okay. All
Yep.
right. Okay. Not a problem. Okay. That's all I need to know.
Thanks, Tammy.
No, thank you.
Is Michelle there still?
Yep, I'm here.
Hey, did you get my email about where to practice at for track and field?
I did not.
Because both places are torn up, so I'm trying to figure out where to practice at.
Yeah, sure. If you and I want to talk offline, we can do that, but I would look into maybe some surrounding schools in your area, see if they have some availability. If not, we can get creative at some parks until they have that.
I'll call Grand Junction High and find out.
Okay, yeah, that's a good start.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I think that's it, everybody. Unless there's any other last minute questions, final call for questions.
I have a question for Adrian.
Hi, Angie.
Hi. Are you still looking for somewhere for us to practice for gymnastics for the Rocky Mountain team, or?
Yep. Let me connect with you tomorrow on that. I have a couple updates on it.
Okay, sounds good.
Great.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think I will last call. Any last call for questions? Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a great week, and we'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Susan. Bye.